morning.
Good morning. We hope you're doing well. This is going to be a new thing that we're going to try today to teach you guys a little bit more about quadrilaterals. So, Mrs. Moore, are we ready?
We are ready. Okay, so the first thing we're going to show you are the two papers that you need for today's lesson. So this is what we're working on together. And then really, really important is that you need your note sheet. And then Miss Patterson is going to pull up the Polygon Google slide, which is linked in your plans for today.
Yes. Oh my goodness, you can see both of us in the corner.
There. Okay,
that's kind of fun. All right, I'm going to leave us there, and I'm going to put us in present mode.
There we go.
Oh, this is so cool. Mrs. Moore, I think this is going to work. Can you see me?
Do our lessons moving forward. Yes, I see you. Hopefully the video that we're recording, you can hear both of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so we are going to put this into our lesson plan so you guys have access to this. But this is something that we created so that we could kind of walk you through your assignment today. So these are all of the things that you've been working on all week through the Math Antics videos, through Khan Academy, through all that stuff. Yes, and it's the same thing that's on this notes page. So if we were in class, we would have put this in a sheet protector and you would have kept it forever and ever and ever, because these are the things that you need to really learn about geometry.
Yes.
There's also a geometry Quizlet to help you study these things, because you will need this in 4th grade and you'll definitely need it again in 5th grade. So study these attributes, and today's lesson is going to walk you through different polygons that have these attributes. All right, Mrs. Moore, you ready?
And once you become more familiar with each of the polygon terms and their attributes, geometry is basically all vocabulary and memorization. So once you have it, it's going to be easier when you're practicing.
Yep. All right, so look at the piece of paper that's in your packet. It's front and back that Mrs. Moore showed you before. And we're going to walk you through the front side together and show you kind of what we expect you guys to do on this. So take it away, Mrs. Moore.
All right, so I'm pretty sure it's not going to let us check off, but we're going to kind of show you with the mouse, or Miss Patterson is.
Yeah.
And she's going to check off each one as I say
what it
is. Ooh, with the red laser. So when you first look at this question 1 polygon, immediately most of you probably think a square. Yes. So we're going to go through each one. And keep in mind, I'm looking at my note sheet because we probably don't have these memorized yet. So is this shape a quadrilateral? Does it have 4 sides and angles? Yes, check.
So put a little check mark right there.
Is this shape a rectangle? Well, a rectangle has 4 sides, check, 4 right angles, and then it has opposite sides congruent and parallel. So yes, a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square. We'll talk more about that later. All right. And then the kite. This one is also a kite because a kite has 4 sides, 4 angles, and then 2 pairs of adjacent congruent sides. So adjacent means touching, and then congruent is the same side, same size of the sides. Lots of words. Okay. Parallelogram is 4 sides, 4 angles, check, check. And then opposite sides are congruent and parallel, yes. And then the last one, it should be, is a rhombus, because a rhombus has 4 congruent sides, 4 angles, and the opposite sides are congruent and parallel. So the first one is all of the names except the trapezoid. If you want to mark out the trapezoid, you can also do that as well.
And a square is probably the most specific quadrilateral that there is. And so that's why it can be called a lot of different things, but the best name is square, but it also fits the attributes of every other shape. Right?
Yes.
What we're trying to say. Okay, question number 2. So this one looks a little bit different. I'm going to go down the list and just see if it applies to any of these things. So first of all, is it a quadrilateral? Well, it has 4 sides and it has 4 angles, so yes, it is a quadrilateral. Is it a rectangle? Well, a rectangle tells me that I have to have 2 pair of opposite parallel sides. These little arrows mean that this side is parallel to this side. So I only see 1 pair of parallel sides, so it is, well, and it only has 2 right angles, so it is definitely not a rectangle. It is also definitely not a square because of that same reason. I don't have 2 pair of opposite parallel sides, and my sides are not the same. It is not a kite because my adjacent sides are not congruent. Otherwise, they would have the little hash marks. It is not a parallelogram. Again, a parallelogram needs 2 pair of parallel sides. Same thing with a rhombus. It needs 2 pair of parallel sides. So the only thing that this one is it is a quadrilateral, and it's also a trapezoid, because a trapezoid only needs 1 pair of opposite parallel sides, and there they are. So question number 2 would be quadrilateral and trapezoid. Anything else, Mrs. Moore?
No, awesome job explaining that. And I love how you went ahead and explained some of the symbols on the shape.
Yeah.
In the next few as well.
All right, here you go. Question 3.
Number 3 has a lot of different markings. So for the arrows, that means opposite sides are parallel. So anytime you see the arrows, that's representing parallel. And then the little tick marks are showing that those opposite sides are that same size, which is congruent. And then again, for the angles, the little curve C looking thing, arch, is showing the same thing, that those angles are congruent for the opposite. So this one has a lot. All right. Number 3 is a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides and 4 angles. So most of these shapes will probably fit that attribute or name. And then it is also, it's not a rectangle because there's no 90-degree angles, not a square because there's no 90-degree angles. It is not a kite because it has to have 2 pairs of adjacent congruent sides, and it does not. So then we're moving on to parallelogram. This is a parallelogram because a parallelogram has 4 sides, 4 angles, and then the opposite sides are congruent and parallel. And that's what is shown in the little red tick marks on the actual shape. And then for rhombus, it is not a rhombus and it is not a trapezoid because it does not fit those attributes of those terms.
Perfect.
Cover everything?
Yeah, that's good. All right. Question number 4 looks like this. This one is almost a rhombus. The only difference between a rhombus and a parallelogram, it's kind of like a square and a rectangle. A rhombus has to have all 4 sides equal. And when you look at this, it almost looks like they are, but these little hash marks tell me that they're not. It tells me that those 2 sides are congruent and these 2 sides are congruent, but they're not all 4 congruent. So even though this one, when you first look at it, it looks like the sides are equal, those little tick marks tell me that it's not. So if I start over, quadrilateral, is it a quadrilateral? It has 4 sides, 4 angles, so yes. It is not a rectangle, it is not a square because it doesn't have 90-degree angles. It is not a kite because these sides that are side by side, the adjacent sides, are not congruent. It is a parallelogram because it has 2 pair of opposite parallel sides. But again, it is not a rhombus because those opposite parallel sides are not congruent. And then it is not a trapezoid because it has 2 pair of opposite congruent sides, parallel sides, and not just 1.
Yeah.
Good?
Good.
All right, question number 5.
All right, number 5, this is the last one on the front, and then on the back, we're gonna tell you what you need to do for that. So on the front, you're looking at it, yes, 4 sides, 4 angles. By now we know it is definitely a quadrilateral. So then we look down to rectangle and square. All of these are not 90-degree angles. There's only that one corner with that yellow square symbol. So not a rectangle, not a square. So just a quadrilateral so far. And then this is a kite. So if you look closely, a kite is 4 sides and 4 angles and then 2 pair of adjacent. So you can see where Ms. Patterson is moving the little red laser. Those 2 sides are adjacent, meaning they're touching, and they're the same because of the hash marks. And then the other ones are also the same. So this one is a kite. And then over to the rhombus, trapezoid, and parallelogram, it does not fit any of these. The rhombus, it would have to have 4 sides that are the same. It does not. The trapezoid would need 1 pair of opposite parallel sides. It does not have that. And then the parallelogram, it must have opposite sides congruent and parallel. So it is just a quadrilateral and a kite.
And this sheet is one that we kind of made on our own from Common Core Sheets. That's in the shapes folder for extra practice, because I know that we went through this pretty quickly, but it is set up just like this, where it wants you to list what each shape is. We highly recommend you taking some time to practice that, because again, it's just getting used to the attributes and knowing the difference between the different quadrilaterals.
And then the more you do, like, it's the easier to say yes or no. So
Exactly.
especially with the rectangle and square, the 90-degree angle, once you learn all the different attributes for each shape.
Exactly.
All right.
There we are again.
So now on the back, this is what is going to be the Schoology quiz assignment. So it'll be linked in Schoology. We will name it Polygon Practice Back Page. Notice it starts at question 6 and it goes through 15, just to keep you not confused and on the same page as us. That's how we'll set it up in Schoology. So it's not going to start at question 1. It'll just go 6 through 15. 6 through 10 are true or false, and then 11 through 15 are multiple choice. So you'll just click the Polygon Practice Back Page assignment with the little blue puzzle piece into your answers, and that is what you will submit to us since we did the front together.
Yep. And we will post this video on the lesson plan, and then we'll also put the presentation that we went through in the e-learning folder. So you can watch it multiple times if you need to, because we went through the shapes relatively quickly. You could even, I don't know, pause it and try it on your own, and then check yourself from what we did. Whatever you want to do to help you learn it. Practice on Quizlet, practice on Common Core Sheet.
This page is your best friend until you have it memorized.
Yeah.
All right.
And we hope this was helpful. This was fun.
Yes,
I'm so glad we did this.
works and the sound and the movement streams well. Let's
Yeah. So we hope you have a good day. We'll be in touch soon.
see ya.
Bye. Bye, Mrs. Moore.
Bye. I miss you.
I miss you more. But I get to see your pretty face. Bye.
Yes. Bye.